Our next presenter, well, he's been well known in these circles in recent times, and I refer to Steve Murdoch from Carrara Mining. And without any further ado, I'll welcome Steve. And I think what they've done, his company's done, and now producing is a great story which we would have heard at the summit. So I'll leave it to Steve. Thanks, Steve.
Thanks very much for the opportunity. I will take 10 minutes max, I'll guarantee you. Look, what we're going to go through today is just an example of how to deal with a resource company that is very, very focused on its own backyard. And I'll just give you some myths and some truths. Some of the other guys spoke about, Tony spoke about our relationship with the Midwest CCI. When we first started, in essence, up here 3 years ago, I used to call it the Geraldton CCI. But we've now been able to work very, very closely together and drive all the way out in the Midwest. That's something we're pretty proud to facilitate. We also talked about some of the money we've spent and the companies that we have worked closely with to get there. And we have updated those numbers, and we update them every month. And there's quite a few people in the crowd here who have dealt with us. So I'll just give you a little bit of a run into how to deal with Carrara, and I think it's a pretty good example of a big company who thinks like a small company. So the myths about Carrara is that we're a Chinese company with money to burn. For some reason, people think the Chinese are really stupid with money and they just hand it out and just give it away. Well, I can tell you that's not the case. They're great to work with. They're very, very smart commercially. But if you think we're going to be a soft touch because we've got Chinese backing, think again. Margins are massive, so don't worry about it. Just they don't care. Well, I can tell you, margins, particularly in the last 3 weeks, certainly haven't been massive. But magnetite is a different business, and it's very capital intensive, and so you've got a lot of capital, a lot of debt, a lot of equity to cover, as well as the operating costs. Now, on the good side is the premium product, and it'll be the product everyone wants to buy over the longer term, and you'll always get your market share and you get a better price. So we've gone for this product because we believe in it, and you're seeing now what's happening with what we call the marginal producers who are starting to fall off, whereas when we bring our magnetite production on, we'll get a great response. Okay, this is generally a tactic which smaller local companies don't go for. That they're learning, but I can tell you, but the big listed guys who we're more and more walking away from go in low, and they look for variations, claims and EOTs and notices of delay. And many of the companies we deal with, and I'm talking thousands of the companies we deal with, it worries me when their legal team and their commercial team is actually bigger than their execution team and their safety team. And I spend much more time with lawyers and commercial people and other CEOs arguing again with lawyers and adjudicators over a heap of crap that if the supplier and the contractor actually did their job, which is give value for money, good service, budget on time, we're prepared to pay a premium for that. We don't go in low, but if you go in this way, you'll get found out. And if you don't get found out this time, you'll never get another chance because we'll find you out. And I'll talk about what the future is about. When you deal with us, you expect a premium to your normal business for all the reasons above. Fat, dumb, stupid, lazy, too much money. We've worked really hard to get our money. We've borrowed US $1.8 billion off Chinese development banks. We have loaned off our partners, our owners, not our partners, I wish they were our partners, our owners, US 1.2. So we have been given $3 billion and that's it. And that's what we've got to spend, and the rest we've got to generate. So I can tell you, between the owners and the banks, every single cent is accounted for, line by line, and we spent lots and lots of time going through it. So we're just not going to give it away. And if you want to deal with us, we're happy to deal locally, but you've got to be competitive. Yeah, we're here for the short term. We're into pillage and plunder. We don't care, just spend the money and whatever. We have very, very tight controls in our company. The authority to spend money is quite high, and we keep a close handle on it. And we're going to be around for a long time. I'll show you the ore body. So we don't have a short-term perspective on the business. We have very, very long-term. Relationships, values for money, shared outcomes is absolutely important for us. This win-lose stuff, you know, who cares about that? We're about contractors and suppliers making money. You don't get better margins than us, but Murray, you don't get better margins than us because we took all the risk. But we're happy for you to make a decent return on your investment. And being late's okay. Everyone's late. You know, all these projects overrun, they're late. If you're late, we'll be having a serious chat to you and there'll be commercial implications about it because we can't be late. So we are different. We're ruthless on that fact. If you say you're going to do something, you've got to do it. And that's just the facts. What are the truths? This is what when we look at the mirror, what we believe. We're committed to a local source policy, but not at a premium. Why would we do anything at a premium? At the end of the day, you don't go to, when you buy your groceries, you don't go to a more expensive shop because they're local, do you? You go to, the most competitive. So if anyone thinks that we're going to pay a premium because we're local, forget it. What we'll do is we'll help you become competitive. So in everything we do across our business, we have an internal saying, we'll give you a leg up, not a handout. So if you're prepared to work with us, you're prepared to look at how you can improve your business, how you can get on tender lists, how you can get with the regulators and work your safety management plans. Happy to do all that, but you've got to get the same return as everyone else. That's what I just talked about. We'll work closely with you to develop your business capability, and we've got hundreds of examples where we've done this. We've started businesses off, and they're growing quite nicely. And the key there is to understand, stay at the size that is efficient for you, and don't start picking up the practices that you'll find in the Pilbara or anywhere else, because the cycle we're going through now, you'll be the first ones dropped off. So what you want to do is align yourself with us over the longer term, and you'll get a better return over the cycle than you were with short-term grabs. And there's only a few people in our company at executive level, so we understand who's doing what and where and when, because it all comes past our desk. Our track record speaks for itself, so I'll put up some stats there, and we're pretty proud of those stats, and this is a push. We've pushed this. We've had a lot of assistance from the CCI and some other areas, but really we've had the determination to do it because we are actually part of this community. We're going to be part of this community for up to 100 years, and a lot of companies can't say that. We're commercially hard but fair, I've got to tell you. Let's get that right. Being hard is not wrong. Hard and consistently hard is okay because you're out there trying to get a return for your shareholder. You're trying to keep your contractors and your employees in a job. And you've seen the announcements of the last few days. What happens when you're not commercially hard and you're loose with your money and you're not operating at your lowest possible price? It's heartache for a lot of people. So we believe over the cycle, it's responsible to be hard and fair. And that way everyone has a long-term relationship. What I can't do, and I can't understand as the CEO, if I could walk in tomorrow and take 600 jobs out and $300 million and cut $1 billion off my operating costs or something, what was I doing for the last few years? So we do that every day. So we're going to be as hard on ourselves as we are on you guys, but I'll just reinforce, we want you to make a return, we want you to be safe, and we want you to enjoy working with us. We develop partnerships, so we don't talk about our contractors, we talk about our contracting partners. We've got multiple projects just only within the Carrara ore body, and we've got bigger aspirations outside of that next year. So in many circumstances I have single-sourced with companies who aren't the lowest tenderer. And I've got enormous support from the board on that. They allow us to make a value judgment call because in this day and age, the way a lot of companies think, if I go back to that myth, go in low and then go, some companies are going to cost you more and heaps of grief at the end anyway. So you've got to make a value judgment, and if you understand your business, you understand your industry, you make a value judgment, say that's going to be my best outcome. And it's not, generally it's not the lowest tenderer, I've got to tell you. There's a whole heap more value you can add if you understand what you're doing. We're very interested in commercial innovation. We pride ourselves within the organisation at being an innovative company. We've got a technology park, which we call Innovation Park. You hear a lot more about that over the next few years. But if you can come with something that is quite different, is different to the mainstream, we'll have a really good close look at it and see if we can adopt it within our business. That's something that really is a part of the DNA within the staff at Carrara. We're very socially responsible, and we expect our contractors to be as well. So we've got a lot of programs that we're deploying in the region. There's a lot more to come, and we expect you to have similar values. Okay. I might have one last bit on that one. We do what we say we're going to do. That's what we pride ourselves on. And if we don't do what we say we're going to do, we're not going to be here. Okay, what do you want to do all those things that we're requesting in the truth part? Well, we've got this little ore body out at Carrara, and I just thought I'd tell you a little bit about it. So it's over here. It used to be a mountain, still most of a mountain. We've only knocked the top off it. But we've got about 3K long, 300 metres deep and 800 metres wide. So that's the 30-year mine plan for a extraction rate 4 times what we're doing in stage 1. So that's 30 years at 30 million tonne. So there's a lot of work for us to get from 8 to 30 or 32 already. That's going to take us the rest of the decade. But if we never did anything else, if we just built stage 1, it'll take us 110 years to mine that. Okay, now I stopped drilling after I got to 2.5 billion tonne. I thought that was enough. I thought between 30 and 100 years resource was enough, and we could go and focus on some other stuff. We've got drill cores down to 700 metres still in ore. So that ore body keeps going that way, and it keeps going that way. And it's not the only one around. We've got quite a number of them. Not as good as that, that's the best one, but a number of them around. So, we're going to be there for a long time. So, building the relationships and, being seen to help us out. When we're in a pinch, that's when you're going to stand up and be counted. And I've got plenty of horror stories where companies bigger than us, in fact, thought they had us in a position, and they used it. They're regretting it now. So when we're in a bit of a pinch, we like to be helped out. And what goes around comes around. Okay, in terms of how we split up our suppliers, so we split up our suppliers in where they reside and how much money we spend with them. So as of the end of July, so that's over 5-6 weeks ago, it was almost 1,600 suppliers and contractors that we dealt with. And bring it back to home, 306 in the Midwest. In the Midwest. So from Geraldton, probably up to Cowbarry, down to Greenhead, and over to Perenjori, Dalwallinu. I don't think there's 306 businesses in there, but anyway, we've found them. And they go from a single owner-operator on a truck to large contracting companies that are building the port right now. The port is actually being built by 3 local contractors. We kicked off the large multinational contractor we were using there because they let us down. So we put a lot of faith into these businesses, and they're doing a good job for us. Now, not many in the rest of Australia. We don't use too many more from the East Coast, and bugger all from overseas. So they're all Western Australia or Midwest. So, and as the project's gone along, more of our spend comes locally because all your large overseas procurement's done. And as you get into operations, even more of your spend becomes local. It's all about people and services and so forth when you're not buying gear. Next one. So up until the end of July, we'd spent $2.5 billion. It's really hard to spend $2.5 billion. Everyone thinks it's great, but it's really hard because you've got to spend it at the right rate, get the right value at the right time to get the project on board. But in terms of this local area, we'd spent $245 million with local contractors, and that's like 6 weeks old, so it's probably around $260 million. And to put that in context, in terms of revenue, the revenue that the wheat agricultural sector does in the Midwest generates about $1 billion. Carrara at stage 1 generates about $1 billion. So that little ore body there generates about the same as all of the wheat producers in the Midwest. So much smaller, much more capital intensive, and I'd challenge the industry how much they're spending locally. So I'd love that stat. I can't get it, but we're pretty proud to have spent that. And then as we go into operations, we'll continue to spend a large proportion of our cash locally. And I'll just go back on that one. And you can see there, over 92% in, 92%, get that? 92% spent in Australia. And that's why, foreign investment is so good. It very rarely goes home. It stays here and it generates such prosperity. And most foreign investors continue to invest in Australia because they're after, particularly the Chinese, they're after security of supply. They're not in it for the profit. They'll take some dividends, but they think long term. So it's been a fantastic outcome for Western Australia and the country, and we've tried really hard to do that. Next one, please. Okay, I talked about social responsibility, and I'll give you some examples of what we've been working really hard on. We've got lots and lots of local people. We're flying in and flying out both construction and operations and maintenance guys out of Geraldton right now. We're doing 10 flights a week with Shine Aviation, and that's growing and building as we get more and more people from the region coming back to the region. A lot of people are coming back from the Pilbara and other places to come home, and we're facilitating that. But we've just launched a program, and they're all employed now as 8 traineeships, generally from around Geraldton. So there's 8 people who never worked in the industry before, and probably never thought they'd work in the industry. So now, with our partnership with Durack and Mitar at Mora and us, we're doing a Cert 3, which is equivalent to a trade in the processing plant. So it's a fantastic opportunity for those people. We've got adult apprenticeships. A lot of people probably heard we've got our university scholarships for Midwest sourced guys and girls, and we've got our apprenticeship program at the Mora Ag College and the Mora District High School. So the best thing we can do for the region is not only provide jobs but capture the youth and keep it here, and that way you get population increase and you stop terminal decline. Population increase allows people like Ian to go to government, get more services, yada, yada, yada. So for us to be able to continue to work locally, both with our own employees and our businesses, the best thing we can do is keep investing back in the region. I'd love to source all of my workforce from the Midwest. That may happen in the future, but the reality is we can't do it right now because the capacity is not there. But we're going to continue to build that capacity. Yep. Okay, just a couple of things. Got a community farm which got 90 grand for the footy club last year. The crop wasn't looking too good, Greg, but we've had a couple of weeks of good rain, so I think with prices the way they are and the yields, they'll probably beat that this year. I think the golf club and bowls club have got that. We've got our community health fund. Most people will be aware of our Royal Flying Doctor Service initiative. So they're things that cold hard cash going into social responsibility, but not one of them is a handout. They're all leg ups. And there you go. So this is where we're going in the future. We're about a few weeks away from this. I've got the bankable feasibility study about 4 months off presenting to the board for this. So we're at pretty exciting times, and the economics to keep going in this project are compelling because we put all our money into the infrastructure early, and if Ian's government could facilitate the development of Okajee Port somehow, quickly, we'll keep doing that, and that's what we want to do. So that's Geraldton, and that's Okajee. All right, thanks very much for the opportunity.